When Digimon was localized and brought over to the US, it was primarily handled by Saban Entertainment, where it aired on Fox Kids, airing from August 14, 1999 to June 8, 2002, where the first 3 seasons aired on the network, which is where most 90s kids probably watched it. And as I've mentioned in my Tiny Toon Adventures review, Fox Kids was the best thing that Fox was offering at that point, because as we are aware, Fox News is ass! And is a propaganda machine that attempts to manipulate others into preaching their gospel and spreading their agenda like wildfire. And that's piss poor programming right there, especially now that Chris Wallace is no longer associated with the network. Granted, one is a children's programming block from the 1990s and the other is a news network. But still, Fox Kids had the aforementioned Tiny Toon Adventures and Digimon because, of course, along with Power Rangers, Animaniacs, the 90s X-Men animated series, the 90s Spider-Man animated series, The Tick, and Batman the animated series. And the other has pathetic dumbasses like Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, not to mention the fact that, once again, Chris Wallace has severed ties with Fox News and is now under the same umbrella as Anderson Cooper. It's no contest who the winner is in all of this. But enough with pissing off the conservative members of the audience, let's get back on topic. As later on, Saban was acquired by the Walt Disney Company, which also meant that they gained the rights to Power Rangers amongst other properties, some of which Disney either does or doesn't own, and Digimon began airing in reruns on ABC Family, now doing business as Freeform. While Digimon Frontier, the season I remember the most and the one that introduced me to Digimon, began airing on Disney's 1-2, which was a programming block that aired on the now defunct UPN. For those unaware, UPN was a network that was primarily owned by the original incarnation of Viacom, which owned many properties until its closure in 2006, including CBS, Showtime, MTV, and probably its biggest property, Paramount Pictures. In fact, UPN actually stood for United Paramount Network, not to be confused with the more modern Paramount Network, which was originally the network Spike. Anyway, Digimon aired on UPN up until 2003, when they cut all ties with Disney, and then Digimon began airing not just on ABC Family, which I should mention did air kid stuff before, and not just stuff for people like my mom that wants shows similar to Gilmore Girls, but also aired on the Jetix program on Toon Disney, which is where I watched it. I remember it like this. I was young, and I was bored. I was looking on TV for something to watch, and at the time I was big into SpongeBob SquarePants and Star Wars. The big consoles that were on the horizon were the Wii, the PlayStation 3, and the Xbox 360, and I was living with a man named Anthony, who mostly works today manufacturing paper cups. And I saw it right there on Jetix. And soon enough, I began watching it there and I was hooked on the series. And it was one of the many shows that I watched a lot on Jetix. The others being Power Rangers, Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, along with reruns of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and the X-Men animated series, which meant that it was an awesome time to be watching TV back then. Things only got better when Digimon Data Squad got dubbed and started airing on there as well. It was the best part of an otherwise, part of my life. With some highlights of that point being The Dark Knight, Iron Man, and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, all hitting theaters, and Chowder airing on Cartoon Network. Digimon, as well as Jetix, were a big staple of that time period for me. That is until Jetix and Toon Disney as a whole began dissolving, officially closing on February 12, 2009, and in its place, Disney XD was placed there. And while it occasionally aired some Jetix shows like Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, as well as reruns of the 90s Spider-Man animated series, Digimon and Power Rangers, which were staples of Jetix, were nowhere in sight. In fact, the last Power Rangers series that Disney aired was Power Rangers RPM, as Haim Saban would later reacquire acquire the rights to the franchise in 2010. Within that time, Digimon went off the air following Jetix's demise, and I mostly moved on from it, and in the process, it became a distant memory. In fact, I actually became more interested in Pokemon as it was airing a lot on Boomerang back when Cartoon Network had the rights to air it on there. Digimon most remained dormant within that time span, and though I occasionally thought about it from time to time, it was pretty much ancient history by then. But then, something amazing happened. In 2013, 1 year after Saban regained the rights to Digimon, the first Digimon series, Digimon Adventure for those who want the Japanese title, began airing in reruns on Nicktoons, along with Digimon Season 2, and Digimon Fusion, a brand new series, began its premiere in the States on Nickelodeon, which, given the success that Power Rangers had on Nickelodeon, it made sense to put it on there. Even better, the first 5 seasons of Digimon, which had mostly been relegated to the VHS side of things for most of the 90s, well, okay, at least the first 3 seasons. Season 5 did get some DVD releases there, but that's besides the point. We're finally getting a complete season release on DVD for the very first time. This was huge, as I really hadn't seen Digimon since 2008, so when it began rerunning on Nicktoons, I was all in on that. And I never wanted to miss an episode, often recording so that I could catch up on what I missed. I also catch episodes of Digimon Fusion from time to time when it was airing on Nickelodeon and when it was airing on Nicktoons exclusively. Sorry, I almost thought I was going to work there. Sadly, Season 3 never got dubbed, robbing us of Mikey Kudo, Fusion's protagonist, teaming up with classic Digimon heroes Tai, Davis, Takato, Takuya, and Marcus, not to mention the potential return of Joshua Seth as Tai for Season 3 of Fusion, along with Brian Donovan, Brian Beacock, Michael Rees, and Quentin Flynn as the latter 4 characters. But they didn't stop there, as Digimon was also streaming on Netflix, back before its stock price began dropping like a trailer on Super Bowl Sunday. And that was how I watched Season 2, albeit before finishing Season 1 on Nicktoons. And Season 3, and this was back when you could stream Netflix off of the Wii. Yes, that was a thing, and before Netflix took it off of there, before bringing it back for a time. It was a huge moment for Digimon and helped reignite the flame that had previously died out some time ago. And between that and Yu-Gi-Oh!, those were the 2 shows that I loved watching on Nicktoons, and may have also jump-started my fascination with anime, which, given some of the characters seen in montages, it really speaks volumes as to how I feel about it. On top of that, it also goes to show that when Digimon returned, it never lost its touch. It was the same fun show that I loved watching on Jetix, and it would increase even more when Nicktoons began rerunning it and when Digimon Fusion was being shown on Nickelodeon. And considering it's gotten plenty of video games, a film series functioning as a sequel to Season 2 of Digimon, and numerous other series, some I hope get dubbed one day, it also goes to show that Digimon, much like its rival Pokemon, still has an audience that continues to watch it, and love it for the franchise that it is. And that is my history with Digimon. It started back around the 2000s when I watched it off the Jetix program on Toon Disney, and then after Jetix pretty much went off the air along with Toon Disney, it sort of faded away for a while, and then I got interested in Pokemon. And then in 2013, when it began being reran on Nicktoons, because I had that, I decided to rewatch the whole series, and from there, my love for Digimon was reignited. Especially when you factor in that Digimon Fusion came out there, and they're on Nickelodeon, and eventually Nicktoons. And, yeah. Those were some good times back then. Then I got the DVDs, and well, here I am talking about Digimon after all this time. It's a series that I love to watch alongside Pokemon and all those other shows. And so with that, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing of Digimon and this whole retrospective and look back at Digimon, because it honestly brings me a lot of joy to do this sort of thing. And so with that, I will catch you later. I'll see you next time.